I make a motion to appoint Debbie Urbanic to the Housing Authority to fill in the expired term to expire December 31st, 2019.
Second.
Discussion? Brenda?
Commissioner McDonald?
Aye.
Commissioner Fox?
Aye.
Commissioner Nestle? Aye. Commissioner Hager?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Consider resolution declaring the building at 20 South Broadway a historic location.
I'm here. Did you want me to actually?
There she is. I knew she was back there somewhere.
No, you're okay. I dropped the kiddo off at his game, so I will make this as quick as possible. Did you get a chance to forward my email
Yes.
around? Okay. Were there any questions?
The only question I've got, I'm familiar with historic buildings on the federal government side, but not at the state or municipality side. Is there any downside to the municipality or any considerations, concerns?
Not really in terms of an individual building. It's a kind of it's a nice pursuit if the owners are willing to go forward with it, because it takes a fair amount of their time as well. This is, in essence, just kind of a open the door and an opening step with the local jurisdiction. Where the property is located indicates, yeah, we're supportive, and we believe that in this particular instance, it does have historical merit. Spent quite a bit of time on the phone with them. And then from there, particularly when it's done not as a district, and I've formed those before, where a whole downtown area, 2
Right.
blocks or whatever, now that has some impacts in terms of what we do, what kind of facing can be done on the building, and it does for Kat in this particular instance as well, and I'm sure she's well aware of that. But it's on an individualized basis, there's a good deal more flexibility. And they will work with her on that portion of it. We, in essence, in doing this, provide in essence, just a confirmation that we agree. It's a building that would support that kind of an application, and we would, as a community, be supportive of it. So, and it's done, State Historical Society is basically the entity, the clearinghouse for all of that at the state level. And there are multiple different ways that you can go about having a building declared, but that's where this one I think would go through.
And we're really intending to keep the building as historically relevant as possible. So I talked to Scott and I kind of let him know. I have some quotes for window pieces to go in on that top floor because, well, all of the windows are gone. So I do have a quote to get them done piece by piece so they are more time appropriate. That way it kind of falls in line with the historical thing. For right now, he has, and I think that you were aware that he has allowed me to board up those windows just by that boarding standard that's located in the code book. That is what we were going to do, especially since I noticed one of those windows is completely gone from that wind the other day. But we're really hoping to get the building back to something that it used to be in the past, a place where people gathered, a community place. I'm sure people probably have heard we are going to put in a coffee, juice, smoothie, breakfast type place, not really focused on food, but in the evening time we were going to put in a drinking establishment, which we've looked at all the zoning and codes and everything, and I don't see anything that will prevent us from doing that thus far, but right now our focus is on getting the building back to basics. We went in and we were trying to clean up some of the messes, and we found some surge protectors spliced into the utility lines. So we just snipped it all out and decided that we don't want any of that. So we do want to get back to basics. And this resolution will really just get us started with that process. And that way we can kind of fix things correctly moving forward rather than just have the building sit. Because the building is 112 years old. It's got a lot of history. It's been really relevant to Herington's business formation since 1906, and I'd like to see it continue to be that rather than a storage facility. So, yeah.
Any questions, comments, or anything? I got excited when reading through your email and looking at the pictures and reading the history on that building. I think what you're doing is fantastic, and I can't support you enough.
I found so many things. I have found when we had to take the back deck down, so there was a second story back deck. Part of it fell down and we just helped the rest of it down and then cleaned it up. But underneath there, and who knows how long it had been there, but there was a box from when the Herington Times was located there. and they had some of the old printing press tiles. So I have some veteran pictures, I've got some old cars, I've got airplanes, I've got all kinds of stuff. And our plan for the business, which at some point I will come in here and just present you guys with a business plan so you know what we are wanting to do. But we're going to make the front part of it, the coffee portion of it, just rich with history. Ross loved to collect things, and I have found many of these things, which include newspapers from the 50s, 60s. I'm gonna make it into wallpaper.
Is it, there's no downfall to this, is there? I don't
Well,
see
that's what I'm
anything.
sitting here trying to come up with
Just
how
I don't
this
see anything
could
wrong with it.
be a negative.
And eventually, I'm sure you guys have probably seen, but someone on the other corner of that block is wanting to take that building, the one where the thing all ripped off of it. They're wanting to do kind of the same thing. They want to bring the building back to life, put something in it where the central business district is actually a business district and not.
No.
Is that the resolution number, not 900?
Resolution number 900. A resolution declaring the building located at 20 South Broadway, Herington, Kansas, historical location within the city of Herington, support for listing the same on the Register of Historic Places in Kansas. Whereas the city of Herington acknowledges the importance of historical preservation and desires to promote and preserve its storied heritage. Whereas the property located at 20 South Broadway was erected in 1905 and over the past 113 years has been the location of many pertinent businesses to the city of Herington's growth and development, documented through the Herington Historical Society. Whereas the governing body of the city of Herington recognizes the importance of maintaining and protecting the historical significance of the city's oldest architecture and support the application of potential nomination of buildings on the Kansas Registry of Historic Places. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Herington, Kansas as follows. Section 1, that the City Commission of the City of Herington, Kansas recognizes and acknowledges the building located at 20 South Broadway to be historical significant for the municipality. Section 2, that the City Commission of the City of Herington, Kansas supports the application of potential nomination of the building located at 20 South Broadway on the Kansas Register of Historic Places. And Section 3, that this resolution is effective as of the day of approval by the governing body of the City of Herington, Kansas. I motion that we approve Resolution 900.
Second.
Discussion. Brenda?
Commissioner Bill?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Nestle?
Aye.
Commissioner Hager?
Aye.
Mayor Gray?
Aye.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let me know when your agendas aren't so crazy, and I will come and kind of get you guys, I'll get you all copies of our business plan so you know what we're really planning on. And I will come present a little fun time for you. Alright. Thank you guys.
Thanks,
I'm
Gail.
out to soccer game.
Consider street closure for Charity Magnet, April 28, 2018, from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. for the annual Throttle Jockeys Car Club Show. Car show, there we go. Between Broadway, Walnut, Main, and First Street. Everybody's familiar with what area we close off every year for the car show? Any questions, anybody who's not familiar with the area? Yeah, got a question, Scott?
Yes, I do have one question. And I'm trying to help out the out-of-town folks because I don't have a problem with the car show. I think it's wonderful.
Mhm.
But I do think if we're gonna close these roads, we need to get some detour signs up. The last 2 or 3 years, we've had several stop in Sweet Creations. How do I get around town? How do I get to the other side? And many times I'd get in the truck and take them around. So I just feel if we're gonna start closing this many roads, we need a few detour signs so people can get around. That would be my only suggestion.
Okay. You take that for action, Brenda? I'm sure the street department has something.
You want to volunteer to show them, Scott?
Can.
Just put one of those follow me signs
Follow
on
me
the back.
Pilot car.
Pilot car.
I've motioned that we approve the street closure for April 28th from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. for the Throttle Jockeys annual car show.
Second it.
Discussion. Brenda?
Commissioner Bill?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Nessler? Aye. Commissioner Hager?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Thanks, Scott, that's good, great suggestion. I'm kinda curious how they got to
Sweet
Sweet Creek.
They would get turned around, and couldn't figure out how to get to the other side.
It's a business
West-
boy, that's where the arrows were facing.
So
yeah.
they would come back to the nearest business
Oh,
when
yeah.
they turned onto D.
It's like when people get all the way down to Napa and stop and ask if we have a gas station, and they just came from town.
Yeah.
Number 13, distressed property hearing for the mall, 5 West Walnut. We'll now open the distressed property hearing. Where are we at, Brad?
There's not a great deal to add at this point, as everyone knows. What we're waiting for is because of the grant funding process, we can't really submit until a specified date. And so right now, we're just kind of treading water until we can get to that point, so that we can get that funding in place so that we can proceed with what we hope is a plan for remediation. So we're kind of periodically doing this just in case there was something that arose that would allow for earlier submission or any kind of an additional grant that we haven't been made aware of that we're really trying to investigate. Right now, I don't know of anything else. I still think that's our best option. And from what we can tell, that's still the funding source that we'll probably pursue.
Are we continuing the dialogue with the property owners, making them,
As best we can. I mean, it's pretty limited thing, but again, we haven't really pressed them either. The function of this is really just to get a little closer in time to the point where we want to make those applications and then reconfirm that we can have access to the property. Because the primary thing that the property owner will do for us is just that, give us access so that the inspections can be redone through KDHE at that point, and make a determination as to exactly what we're gonna be required to do. I have a pretty good sense of that already from past history, but obviously when you get to the point of saying, okay, here's the money, now you're gonna do it, and you're gonna mobilize or take bids or whatever it may be to get that completed. Now, what does it look like? Has anything changed in the last 3 months, for example?
any input or comments from anybody else? Anything from the public? A motion, we continue the distressed property hearing for 5 West Walnut to 5 June.
Second.
Discussion. Brenda?
Commissioner Bill?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Nessler? Aye. Commissioner Hager?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Consider resolution, consumption of cereal malt beverages at Herington Regional Airport on April 28th, 2019. This will be resolution 901.
18.
Yeah, 29,
Eight.
18. I'm a year ahead, aren't I?
Fast year.
Time flies, but man.
It's okay, our agenda, I just noticed says 4/17/17.
Does it?
The file name on my iPad.
Oh.
I just looked up and saw that. So you're a year behind, because you're ahead.
It all balances out.
I move that we pass resolution, we approve resolution, I move that we approve resolution 901, a resolution authorizing the sale, possession, and consumption of cereal malt beverages on April 28th, starting at 10 a.m. and ending at 12 noon for the.
Well, that's supposed to be 12 a.m.,
Remember, that's the
Yeah, it's
correction
just
she
12
sent us.
a.m.
but I didn't
12
put
p,
it on there.
yeah, it's 12 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah. 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., sorry, I was
Yes.
reading it.
Second.
Discussion? Brenda?
Commissioner
Aye.
Bill? I'll just give a point.
That'll work.
Commissioner Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Nessler?
Aye.
Commissioner Hager?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Almost forgot to say aye myself. Consider salt, I'm on a roll. Consider salt, cereal,
You're done.
used all my words. Consider cereal malt special event permit, American Legion for April 28, 2018 at the Herington Regional Airport.
I'll make a motion. We consider a cereal malt special event permit for the American Legion for the April 28th, 2018.
Second.
Discussion. Brenda?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Nestle?
Aye.
Commissioner Hager?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Consider the Herington City Manager Leaps Status Report. Yes, well,
I didn't know if we were gonna vote
I
on
don't know that we need to vote on it, or if we just needed to select where we want to advertise.
Yeah, I think that's the,
I think it has to be signed, doesn't it?
Yes, those have to be signed.
Yeah.
So I suppose we need to approve,
authorization of the signature.
right?
Okay, so we go back to page 35, 34, 33, 32.
The advertising recommendations are on 49.
They start on 32.
and 32.
Looking through there, the only recommendation I had, as far as changes from the recommended list, they had several individual state leads, and some of them have an individual cost associated with them. Or you can advertise with the National League and hit all of the states, and you actually save $100, $150, something like that. So my thought would be, instead of advertising with the individual leagues, skip those and go straight to the National League, save $100, cover all of the states. So basically, it would be advertising in the International City Managers Association Job Center, the local government job net, Strategic Government Resources, City Code Financial, GovernmentJobs.com, Kansas Municipal Utilities, Kansas Universities, Kansas University Greener Grass, the League of Kansas Municipalities. Scroll down, and the National League of Cities.
Is there a difference in the list that starts on 32 and 49, or is it just on
No,
there
the
twice?
same list, it's just on there twice.
Okay, because I'm like trying to figure it
Now, some of those state leagues, there is no cost to advertise, so maybe it's not that bad of a deal to go ahead and put it in those states anyway. I don't know.
Well, I'm just thinking, sometimes the state ones might be more pinpointed, because some people might just look. Do the state ones actually pick up all the national ones, you know what I'm saying? Is what we're trying to.
If you look at it, the National League of Cities covers 19,000 cities, towns, and villages, but if you look at the individual states, they don't add up to near the same coverage. You might be right, they might be more pinpointed within that particular area, but you're covering, you're focused more in that state and not covering as many states.
But
Well, I don't know if it would be worth taking, not talking every state, because obviously there are some states on this list that are not even close to Kansas. But, you know, pick our surrounding ones and specifically
Target those states.
target those as well, because, you know, people from Missouri are gonna be more likely to move to Kansas to take a job. People from Rhode Island probably aren't moving to Kansas. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, not likely.
Rhode Island is free.
Well, I just pulled a random state that I remember
But
seeing.
Virginia costs, I'm not sure that we need to advertise. in
Yeah, I don't
Virginia.
really feel the need to pay the money to advertise in Virginia. Probably not where our next city manager's coming from.
No.
Okay.
So that was just my thought. If we're gonna pick and choose some states, you know, it might be worth a little bit of extra money to take our surrounding states and pay that money, and maybe we're gonna get a better candidate because we do that.
So how do you feel about Kentucky?
Kentucky's about 12 hours away.
But it was free.
Did you memorize the
No,
cost
I'm
list?
looking, I'm going through
All
them.
right, so basically what you're advocating for is Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma.
Texas?
Texas wouldn't be a bad one. You know, Texas, Arkansas wouldn't be, I mean, kind of take the middle.
Iowa?
Iowa wouldn't be bad. I mean, I don't feel the need to go east and west coast. Take your Midwest states and,
Take Iowa.
We're just trying to figure who you like and don't
Take
like.
Iowa.
I'm not against any of them. I'm
Does
trying to
everybody-
see which ones might be worth our dollars.
Anybody else have any recommendations? All right, let's go down through the list, because I gotta sign this thing, so.
League of Women in Government?
What do you better watch your
No,
mouth,
I'm just saying, I didn't
mister.
know there was that.
I'm just saying. Maybe you can
Okay,
just
so
watch it.
Kentucky, yes or no?
Kentucky was free, wasn't it?
Yes.
It's
It's a
free.
free one.
I say if it's free, do it.
Kansas League Municipalities, obviously. League of Nebraska Municipalities,
I like Nebraska.
yes?
I I like
I would say yes, we actually got some applications from there last time.
Mississippi,
No, it's free.
It's free, and we actually got an application from
Okay.
Mississippi last time.
If it's free,
Missouri,
yes,
Oklahoma,
yes.
It's cheap.
I
Rhode
know,
Island.
it's free. If it's free, what is the hurt in doing it? They're going to print our stuff and charge us
We're being
nothing.
recorded, so I won't say anything. Texas. Yes, no.
I would say yes,
Utah,
it's free.
high standards. League of Women in Government.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
I was not offering my opinion on that.
National League of Cities. A lot of money if you're already covering the individual states
That's my
around
thought,
us.
is that's a lot of money.
Okay. Public service careers.
Yes, because I think that gets a lot of the new people fresh out of school.
We're already covering Kansas universities and
But
that's,
that covers Kansas universities, this is covering all universities nationwide for that new person.
for
But-
$250.
Yeah, that's, if you figure amount of universities who do that, that's a fairly inexpensive.
Thoughts? Marcus? Okay. That was public service careers. Okay, Arkansas Municipal League.
Meh.
No?
I don't care
Yes.
one way or the
No.
other on that one.
No Razorback fans? Anybody want a quarter? No? Iowa League? Virginia Municipal League.
I'm good on that one.
All right, so we've got our list, right?
Did you say the very first page on this one, or did I miss it? The
all
international
of
city
the-
managers, the local
Yeah.
government net, strategic government,
Yep.
city
Yeah.
code, city code, you want all those?
Yes, ma'am.
I
You
see.
go through it again, or did you get them all?
I think that's all.
Okay.
Government jobs,
All right,
Basically, I think we want the whole
did you
first
say
two
government
pages.
jobs, yes?
Yes.
so we just need
The
to,
first two pages were all.
Okay.
Then I would motion that the city commission approve the leaps status report and authorize myself as mayor to sign said report.
Second.
Discussion? Brenda?
aye.
Commissioner Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Nestler?
Aye.
Commissioner Hager?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. See, that's how you wait for the name and then you say aye. Aye. Consider the application for the loan and guarantee with, what is that, CoBank? ACB? Is
Yeah.
that a better interest rate than what we were getting?
No.
No, because remember it was going up as of April first. So we had to, and when Chelsea was here, we also had to go out for an additional, in order to qualify, we have to show that we're getting additional funding.
I know Marcus's question before he had to step out was going to be something along the lines of, do we really think that's the best interest rate we can get? I don't know what else he had to go with that thought, but
My understanding, it's not the best, it's not the interest rate that's the concern, it's the time frame
That's it.
to get it done.
We made inquiry of local banks.
And
We
find
had
someone.
some interest locally, and then there's another bank, I don't know what I'll call that local, but within the area that has done that before in some instances. Their rates would be better. The big problem is the time frame on this. Even though we don't intend for it to be something beyond really a bridge loan, you're still talking about a 40-year potential commitment. And so the local institution that showed interest initially, I think has thought better of that. The other one that has done those before still might, but it's some distance from here, it's not a local institution. So we could do that, or we could make that inquiry if you'd like for us to. Those rates were a little better, I will admit it. this is one of the common ones that does this all over the United States. And they provided this information to us. We wanted to make sure we had something lined up, because when I talked to Buck again today, they're moving ahead at a fairly good, deliberate rate. And so, I don't know,
What are
within
you
2
talking
months.
percentage wise?
Quarter? No, it'd be a little more than that. Three
Well-
quarters to one.
To one? On, what was it, 700?
Yes, the max that we would do initially is
This says 500.
This is
500.
no, they used 700 at one point. Yeah, let's
But
assume
it's
it's a
for
500,000,
500.
probably no more. By the time we got through and everything else shook out in terms of what was approved, I would say that's accurate.
But if everything goes as planned, it'd be for a limited duration, no prepayment penalty.
Right.
This is not something we plan on having 2 years from now.
Yeah, this is very much like a construction or a bridge loan. The intent is to, we do this so that that money is available in the short term, with the full intention that once you close out on this thing, if all the costs come in anywhere close to where they should, we should have ample room with the funding that's permanent in nature, that's been arranged for. And we'll buy this out and just close it out.
Worst case scenario, it doesn't shake out that way. Have we looked at budget and seen what it does to us?
We did do some projections. He said it wouldn't be a material, well, it wouldn't be a material impact. There would be some impact. It would raise a little bit.
I don't see a payment in here anymore.
I didn't either. Read through it earlier.
There's not, I don't see anything in here about when payments begin, what they are.
Depends on when we close on the loan. The payments on those start, you know what, Brenda, I don't remember talking to, he mentioned some of that in passing.
And is this a line of credit, so interest starts once we draw on it, and if we don't draw on it, or if we don't take the whole half mil?
It's like a maximum floor plan.
Right.
Doesn't give me the warm fuzzies, I can't say I have a better idea, but.
Well, if you'd like for us to, this is not, we're not up against a wall. I don't know, there's been no indication that they were looking at a change of rate again, unless you heard something that I didn't.
No, but she asked, Chelsea asked about this.
Well, and that was the big concern when Chelsea was here, is we needed to get this locked down so we can get the USDA locked down.
That's right.
So
Yeah, it's
that
kind of a
it doesn't
domino
float.
effect, yeah.
Yes.
And if it floats
It's already, I
a
think.
little bit,
Yeah, if we don't get any of this, we don't get that.
right, well, and if the
I mean, there's a
USDA,
chance.
if the USDA rates increase 1/8, then this one changing a full percent is small potatoes. When you start talking about 1/8% on $2.5 million, that we actually will pay off over 40 years, that's big. This is kind of minor.
Yeah,
They do this all the time though, I mean,
that's part of the reason they gave us, they said you can utilize this kind of source, or you can see if you can find something locally. We made those initial calls, and I think it's not unfair to think that we might be able to find someone within driving distance, within the state, or within several counties that might consider it. The biggest impediment is that length of time potential.
Well-
And we have to be candid with them and tell them it could roll into a 40-year commitment.
would like 2 weeks from now make a difference?
Well, that's what I was about to suggest. I don't know, did she give any indication to you that,
When Chelsea was here, she seemed pretty urgent that,
Yeah, she,
and the
all
concern
I
isn't
got
from.
was, have this signed and get it back to me.
Right, and the concern from her standpoint is, yeah, we could absolutely wait 2 weeks, but the problem is, if
Sorry,
USDA adjusts their rates between now and then,
I mean, I don't have a problem with doing it now, it doesn't matter.
I don't either, I'm searching for a downside and I don't see it, I mean,
Well, and
You might not, I mean, if you don't use it for a while, you're not really hurting anything.
yeah.
Short bridge, you're really not gonna hurt.
Well, and like he said, if we're talking, okay, yeah, this could go down 1%, but even if that goes up 1/8%, we've shot ourselves in the foot there, well.
This, relatively speaking, is a minor factor.
Yeah, this is pennies now compared to that.
I'm still looking, I don't see any kind of
There's not.
minimum prepayment, anything like that.
Do we have to have that, or should we have that?
No, we're just locking a rate at this point, and if effect if we, funds are committed.
Okay.
I move that we accept the application for loan and guarantee with CoBank ACB.
Second it.
We need to include in the motion who's authorized to sign, or,
With the mayor and interim city manager as signatures.
second, the
Second that.
discussion? Brenda?
Aye.
Commissioner Nessler,
Aye.
Commissioner Hager,
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Sorry, I got messed up. You're out of order there.
I know.
Well, I know, I almost said.
Consider approval of the swimming pool rates. Everybody had a chance to review the rates that were,
Yeah.
I had one question that I don't know if anybody here can answer. Well, with one addition of a babysitter line, what is that talking about? Is that like putting them on a family pass, but adding one individual?
Right, it's because a lot of people hire outside daycare, and then they buy the family pass, and that would include their 16 or 17-year-old, or a grandparent, that's babysitting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would not be the 80 plus 100, it would just be $100.
right.
Right, okay, originally when I read that, I read it as 80, and then you're gonna pay another 100 for the
No, no,
babysitter,
no.
and I'm like, you would
No.
buy it just a single pass. for
No,
that.
a family pass is 80, and with the addition of the one babysitter or grandparent,
Okay,
whoever's taking
one
care of them.
extra individual,
Yes,
essentially.
so it's $20 more.
Okay.
For the benefit of the audience, what we're talking about is right now the 2017 prices were daily admission 3 and under were free. But the daily admission was $1.50, single pass was $35, family pass $70. No additional charge for adding a babysitter to a family pass. Swim team was $35 per each child, or each with the additional child in the family of $15, and that also includes a t-shirt price. Swimming lessons were $25 for 8 sessions. Calling around to different swimming pools comparable to ours, not comparing ourselves to pools that we aren't comparable to, but looking at what their rates are and considering the fact that our rates haven't changed in several years, the 2018 proposed pricing is as follows. Daily admission would be $2, period. Single pass, $45, family pass, $80, but if you add in the babysitter, that $80 goes to $100. Swim team would be $40 for the first child and $20 for each additional child in that family, still includes a t-shirt, and no change to the swim lessons. Further recommended 2019 proposed increases. Daily admission would remain the same at $2. Single pass would go to $55. So in 2017 it went $35, 2018 $45, 2019 $55. 2019 family pass would go to $100. So 17 was $70, 2018 was $80, 2019 would go to $100. With the addition of a babysitter would go to $120. Swim team, $50 for the first child, $20 for each additional child, still includes a t-shirt. Swim lessons in 2019 would go from $25 for 8 sessions to $30 for 8 sessions. And there's several reasons for this. Obviously, we haven't adjusted the pool rates in a while. And, yeah, the pool needs some work, and we're already putting a lot of taxpayer money into it, and that money has to come from somewhere, and the users of the pool should be reasonably paying more to help.
And it's not out of line.
No, it's comparable to pools that are in the same class as ours, so.
I move that we approve the recommendation rates for price increases for 2018 and 2019 by the pool manager.
Second.
Discussion? Brenda?
Commissioner Bill?
Aye.
Commissioner Nessler?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks?
No payment.
Mayor Jones?
Hey, you forgot me.
Oh, I'm
Hager.
sorry. That, jumping from Hawks messed me up. Commissioner Nessler, aye. Commissioner Hager?
Aye.
Sorry, Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Sorry.
Review bid for removal of nuisance property located at 18 North 12th Street.
I am so
Very
happy to
excited
see
about
this.
that.
How quick will it be done?
I will admit, I was a little distressed when I pulled back into town for vacation and it was still there, because I went and looked.
I had no doubt you would. what we need to do at this point is get the bid in place. We're at the end game process of this. I ran it past security first again, because there are actually several names throughout that foreclosure process. They went through, as we've talked about before, the creditor went through different permutations. One company bought out another, which bought out another. And part of the order was to send it to the current owner. Well, when you go and check in terms of the appraiser's office, registrar's office and district court, there's a little inconsistency there. So I am gonna go ahead and send one more, notice of disorder out to the others that we never really made any attempt to do, just as a belt and suspenders approach to it, not looking at any length of time on that. So what I suggest here is approve the bid and then notice to commence based upon staff notice to them as soon as we can.
I did notice the estimate was dated 1 March with 10-day net. We confirmed that this is still current, or?
No, I'm hoping I will.
Yeah, I would suggest approving it subject to them confirming that it's still that amount, and then we'll notice them up as to when they should begin.
Well, my question is it not something that Brenda can prove on her own because it's under her amount? It's not even something we technically have to say, yeah, you can spend.
It's true.
So,
That's true.
I would just say she can check on it, and
Go
unless
for it.
anybody right now is like, absolutely not, which I think we all want the trailer gone, she has the ability to approve it.
It was just really to give you the,
I figured it was more so we had the information,
So we have
but
the
if we
warrant
need to
budget.
check on stuff, why
Okay,
approve
yeah.
if everything's okay when she
Yeah.
can just.
That's a
That
good
works.
point.
I'd tear it down. Tear it down.
Go for it, do good things.
Yeah, hoop and holler and throw a party when it's gone.
we want to get torn down, we were talking about rehabilitating.
Back price?
If that's happening, well, I'll.
We're gonna have to get new bids again.
I gotta go talk to my neighbor, cause that's pretty cheap for a rehab of that. Number 20, executive session. I move the city commission recess into, how long do we need for this one? 20 minutes?
How short is short?
15?
15 minutes? Okay. Move the city commission recess into executive session to discuss interim city manager performance review. Under KSA 754319B1 pursuant to personnel matters and non-elected personnel, the open meeting will resume in the city hall boardroom at 7:46 PM to include the governing body, city attorney, interim city manager.
Second.
I just wrote my-
Discussion. Brendan?
Commissioner Bill,